Hello, and welcome once again to another episode of Energy Vampires. And today I'm talking about a very important topic, okay? Because I would say that this topic affects nearly all of us, unless you've lived a very sheltered life. Okay, so we have all had times in the past where we have been traumatized, okay? It might be a single event, or it might be a person that we spent a period of time with in our lives, and that person may have been an energy vampire. They may have been toxic. They may have been abusive. Okay, now the problem is that, when we've been through a period in our lives like this, it has residual effect. We may move on and we may enter into a better life, but we're naive if we think that that's that chapter closed and a new chapter has started. We're going to take that baggage from the past into the future. Okay, we are affected. Okay, because these things, these negative, toxic, vampiric things that happen to us, they are strong, and they affect our psyche, which in turn affects our self-esteem, our self-image. It can have a knock-on domino effect, and it then causes an effect on the things that we attract into our lives. It has a residual effect, and it has a domino effect. Okay, and it needs to be dealt with. Okay, so that's what this video is about. I'm gonna address these demons, if you like, and give some advice as to how you can recover. Okay, now I do speak from experience because I have had times in my life where I've had to deal with toxic energy vampires, and I've had some trauma, some abuse. It's not nice, okay? Now, why is it so impactful? Now, it does work in reverse, right? Because, you see, the way it works is our memories, okay, of our past, whether we like it or not, we replay them in our mind, okay? No matter how hard you try to shut them out, like, sometimes it's like a video recording. You reenact the whole scenario in your mind. It's like a daydream, okay? We remember. You can't forget something, or maybe you can, but you'd have to work very hard at achieving that. Okay, I don't know if it's even possible to completely forget something. We remember things, and we especially remember things that had a strong emotional association. Okay, so for example, say last week you went to the shop and you bought a newspaper. Okay, you're not going to remember that in 20 years' time because it was just a mundane thing that you did. Yeah, I mean, you probably do it regularly. There's lots of things that we do regularly and we're not going to remember it. Okay, but things that have a shock factor, things that leave an extremely emotional impact on us, that becomes anchored in us, okay? And we take it to the grave. We remember it. I mean, you may have had things or people, that have happened to you, okay, like decades ago, and you'll take it to your grave as if it was a recent event, okay? I'm telling the truth. This is true. We can all put our finger on at least one or two things. And like I said, unless we've lived a very sheltered life, okay? Alright, so how do we heal ourselves of the past that haunts you? Okay? What do we do with this in order to be liberated, in order to be set free, and to not be deceiving ourselves, but to truly be free, and to therefore attract different outcomes and results and people, and have like a real sincere happiness that isn't like kind of got some unhappiness brushed in under the carpet on the subconscious level? How do we actually achieve this? Well, I'm going to go through what I believe is a way that you can achieve it. Okay, so there's 3 steps. So I want to keep this very simple, okay? And it is very simple, okay? So some people, they go to like psychotherapy, and it can go on for years and years and years. And I don't know what they do. I don't know psychotherapy. But what I'm going to tell you worked for me, and it's 3 simple steps. But it does require hard work, okay? You can't take this lightly. You can't do it half-heartedly, half-assed. You know, it takes discipline, commitment, and repetition, okay? But if you do it, then I would be highly confident that you're going to get the result that you want, okay? So what's step number 1? Step number 1 is to face it and allow that movie to replay in your mind. We've all got movies in our mind. We replay things that have happened in the past that had a deep emotional effect on us, right? So this is not something that you are going to have to try to do because it already happens. But what I'm asking you to do is to sit down and actually intentionally allow it to replay in your mind. Okay, but then what you're going to do is step 2, you are going to manipulate reality, okay? Because your memory is not reality. Your memory is malleable, right? And you can alter your memory, okay? And I'm going to tell you how to do that. So what you do is you engage your inward senses, okay? So we've got like 5 senses, right? You know, like sight, smell, touch, audible, right? You know what they are. But we also have inward senses. So while we see things physically with our eyes, we see things internally in our heads, okay? While we hear things audibly outside, we also audibly hear things in our heads when we're replaying memories, and so on and so forth, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to manipulate the memory, and you're going to tone down the color of the negative aspect of the memory, okay? So where there is a person, an energy vampire, an abuser, right? Like where there's a scenario being carried out, you're going to tone down the color and make it a lot more dull, okay? You're going to make the sound much quieter, okay? You're going to make the image less clear. You're going to really mess with this movie. You're going to really mess with the settings, right? You're going to really put, like, you know, take away some of its potency by toning it down, right? But at the same time, okay, and yeah, this is the step 2 as well. At the same time, you're going to do the opposite where you are concerned. Okay, now let me give you an example. This is quite difficult to explain, but I'm going to try my best, right? Okay, so you're in a scenario, right? You're in the movie because it's your memory, right? So you're in the movie and you've got an abuser, right? Well, we're going to have to use an example. So there's an abuser, right? And you're part of that scenario. So the abuser, you've made him a smaller person, you've made him a quieter person, you've altered his voice, even make the pitch of his voice a higher pitch, right? Make everything that makes that scenario less scary, okay? Because from now on, when you replay the memory, you're going to, in a disciplined manner, you're going to apply these new settings into the memory recording in your mind, right? So all the negative is downplayed, right? But you, on the other hand, are going to be larger, right? You're going to be a larger person, have larger stature than your abuser, for example, okay? You're going to have better posture, right? Your voice is going to be louder. Your confidence is going to be greater, yeah? So it's like tipping the balance, right? So it's enhancing yourself and making, you know, obviously doing the opposite with the abuser. Okay, so you're going to do that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to change the story, okay? So that, you know, you even, where there was a particular event that happened, you're going to change it that you were the victor, right? And you're going to find it amusing, and you're going to feel, you're going to feel sorry for the person, right? That's important. I'm not telling you to create a new memory where you have the negativity of hate. You're not going to hate the person. You're not going to like kick the shit out of the person. You're going to feel sorry for the person. You're going to pity the person. You're going to have a sense of superior intelligence, but you're doing all this for your own therapy's sake, right? Okay, so you're going to do that, but once you do it, you need to do it over and over and over again. You need to practice this. You need to really get in the zone. You need to get into a meditative state. You don't just sit there with distractions all around you. You really concentrate on the memory, and you work at altering this memory, and you keep doing it so that it naturally becomes the new, like, re-record, if you like. I don't know what the term is, but it's replacing your memory. Okay, but what's going to happen is this, and this takes us into step 3. Okay, so what will happen is, as you change the story, you alter reality. Okay, and you become the victor. And I don't know how that story will go. You have the freedom to decide that yourself. Okay, because you know your story, right? So it might be that the abuser walks away embarrassed, his tail between his legs. He feels defeated. He feels deflated. You're standing there feeling sorry for him. But, you also, there's something in the scenario, in the story, that you feel empowered. Not empowered because you have dominated. You don't want to become the very thing that you hate, right? Don't become that. Okay, so you need to be smart here. But that empowerment that you've just achieved is going to it's going to induce an emotional state. It's going to induce an emotional reaction. Okay, and then what you do is you need to anchor so that you associate this emotional state with this trigger. Right? So what will happen in the future, I'm going to explain what the anchor is in a second, right? What will happen in the future is when this memory comes back, you will, because you've tricked your mind, you've reprogrammed your brain, you've reprogrammed your mind, and you'll actually induce a new emotional state, and it will be an empowering emotional state. Emotional state. It will be an empowering one, right? Okay, so the way in which you do that is when you feel that emotional state, you take a physical action to anchor that physical action and associate it with that emotional state for that scenario. So what people do sometimes is they squeeze their index finger and their thumb, right? Maybe you've got a crystal that you want to clench, yeah? Something that's convenient, something that you've got to hand all the time, I don't know, your lucky pen, whatever it is, I don't know. You'll have your anchor, you'll decide what your anchor is, okay? And then, again, you need to keep inducing this state, trigger this state, and then do the association, do the anchor, right? So that what will happen is any time that there's a negative or traumatic uprising within you in the future, you don't have to get into a meditative state because it's not always convenient. You can't always, in every situation, right? If a situation arises that's going to rake up the past because there's a similarity about it, you can't say, oh, hang on a second, I need to go into a private room for 10 minutes and meditate. Yeah, that's not convenient. You can't do that. No. So what you do is you're going to set up a switch in your brain, right? So that when that situation arises, you do a very simple thing, like squeeze your thumb and your index finger together. And when you do that, that emotional state that empowers you is going to be triggered. Okay? That's what you do. And it takes a second. But although it takes a second, you've had to work at this for several hours. Okay? Over, quite a few weeks or months. I don't know. It's different for everybody. And it also depends on the severity of your trauma or your abuse or your whatever toxicity that you've had in your life, okay? So I hope that was helpful. Give me your feedback. Let me know. If you've got any questions, let me know. If you've got any comments, any suggestions, what works for you? Maybe there's techniques that you use that's helped you. And if so, share it, right? Because sharing is caring. And, if it's helped you, there may be someone who desperately needs it.